Good afternoon, everybody. We are moving right along here with the edge players, and this video is going to be some guys who I think are pretty solidly in that day two camp. They're like firmly in the second or third round. I'm pretty confident their name is going to get called on that day, probably sometime near the middle of it. There's nothing here that tells me they're worthy of going in the first, but they're definitely good enough to go before the fourth. So these guys I feel very confident about going in that range. They're still really solid prospects, lacking some of the superstar potential maybe, but there's reason to like all of them. First, we got Keion White. I'll tell you right now, this is another one of these guys who played a lot of edge in college, but in the NFL, I'm hoping they make the transition to playing as an interior defender. Georgia Tech, 24 years old. Age is kind of a concern here because I'm going to just spoil it a little bit here. He is a little bit on the raw side. And for a guy who's 24 years old, I think he's a little bit ill-equipped to make day one contributions. So we're not off to the best of starts here. But 6'5", 285 pounds, nice and big, 34-inch arms, long arms, 10 and a eighth inch hands. Had a nice vert, 94 inches, pretty good, 9'9" broad, 30 bench press reps was really good, one of the best at the combine. Couple big boards have him in the second, some have him in the third. PFF has him in the fourth. The aggregate says mid to late second. So, Keion White, obviously, to get away with being this big and playing on the edge in college, you got to be a pretty phenomenal athlete. I don't know if it'll work in the NFL, but it might work a little bit in the NFL. He's got good impact against the run and the pass. He's strong enough to hold up against the run, but he has enough speed and quickness to rush the passer. He showed the ability to play inside and outside in the NCAA ranks. He can play standing up. He can play with his hand in the dirt. So there's a lot of versatility here. He should be able to find a way to be good in pretty much any kind of defense that he needs to be. I will say I think there's a kind of defense that he'll probably be a little bit better in, but should be flexible, relatively speaking. He's very powerful. He gives maximum effort at all times. I'm not questioning his effort. I'm not questioning his drive. That's all really good stuff. But I'm going to reiterate, he's kind of raw. And when you're 24 years old, I think he hasn't been playing the position for that long to my recollection. I believe he started out, maybe he was one of the guys that started out as like a tight end. Can't remember for sure. But he hasn't been playing this position for that long, so he's still got a lot to learn. I mean, there's a reason why he's only got 1 year of stats here, because before 2022, he just wasn't really contributing that much in any way. So he's going to have to work on things like timing and leverage, things that you would hope he would already have under control at this point. Not great at shedding blockers yet. I feel like his best role will be a Michael Bennett type role in a 4-3, where he's a 5-tech that slides inside on passing downs. As of right now, he doesn't even really have any genuine pass rush moves. He wins with power, mostly, and a little bit of speed, which that speed, it's good at college, in the college level. I don't think it's going to work the same way in the NFL. So I think this guy could be good as a 3-4 end. I kind of like him best as a Michael Bennett 5-tech that slides inside. He could work, but I don't know. I don't get this one that much until the third round comes around. Third round, the value's there. He's really strong and powerful. He'll give you something good as a 3-4 end. I just don't feel like it's his best position. And there are just some things here that I don't love. Okay. Next up, we have Isaiah Foskey, a consistent dropper over this process. There was a time when he was viewed as a first-round pick. Now, may very well go in the third round. As of right now, the aggregate has him in the second. Most big boards have him in the second. Notre Dame, 22 years old, 6'5", 264 pounds. A little bit on the bigger side. 34-inch arms, which is nice. Almost 10-inch hands. Combine results were mixed. 4.58 40 is workable, but it's definitely not super explosive. I mean, it is better than Will Anderson's, right? But his 10-yard split was kind of icky. 166, 34-inch vert, 10-foot, 5-inch broad. It's an okay combine, but it wasn't enough to stem the bleeding. And he's been, look, his claim to fame is production. He had a very productive career at Notre Dame. He broke the sack record. He has 2 straight years of 10-plus sacks. making a lot of plays in the backfield, played in 25 games, 6 forced fumbles in 2021, by the way. I'll say it again, forcing fumbles is a skill, and it's a good skill to have. So Foskey, his main claim to fame is his production. He was ultra productive in college. Like I said, of the king of sacks in Notre Dame school history. He is a pretty good athlete. I mean, you look at it, he is 264, so these numbers are understandable. He converts speed to power off the edge really well. He's fast and he's quick. He's got a pretty decent bend, got fast reaction times, high effort player. Also going to add value on special teams, especially initially when that's probably a big part of his role. Occasionally, he lined up as an off-ball linebacker at Notre Dame, so he's got a little bit of versatility, and he's pretty good at shedding blocks. But most of the things that I just said about Isaiah Foskey apply in college football against lesser competition, and therein lies the problem. There was one game Notre Dame played against Ohio State where he had to deal with 2 really good tackles. It was Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones. They kind of ate him up. They kind of made him look silly out there. He did not play very well. And I think that's a little bit of a concern here. How is he going to do against better competition? Because he's going to be playing Paris Johnson's and DeJuan Jones's most weeks in the NFL. So there seems to be a huge drop-off when he's playing better competition, which that's not a good omen for the NFL. Granted, he is only 22. He could get better. But his testing, like I said, was kind of mixed. I think he could use more power, even though he has pretty good power when he's like converting speed to power. He will probably need some time to develop into a full-time player in the NFL level, I think. So just kind of a mixed bag here with Foskey. I don't know if I like him or dislike him. I think on the whole, you just kind of end up in the middle on him. I'm just not seeing it where he's currently projected. If you take his current projection at face value, we're talking about a middle second round pick. I don't see middle second round pick with Foskey. I think I want to wait until the third round. I think the value becomes appropriate in the third round. If he continues to fall and he's there, okay, you are getting a player that brings some good things to the table. But I just look at this really, really weak 10-yard split. I look at some of the lackluster, like 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle. I look at some of the flaws that I'm worried about. I wonder if he'll improve that much in the coming years, enough to overcome what I see as a little bit of a talent deficit. I don't know. Foskey's a complicated one. I think I would take him in the third round and hold off until then. You could talk me into the second round maybe, just because he is young and he has a chance to develop a little bit in the coming year, maybe 2 years, positively. All right, last guy in this video is going to be Derick Hall of Auburn. 22 years old, 6'3", 254 pounds, 34.5-inch arms, 10-inch hands, so pretty good size, pretty good length. Had a nice combine, 4.55 40, 1.59 10-yard split, 33.5-inch vert, 10-foot 7-inch broad, decent. All the big boards have him in the top 100. One actually has him in the first. Some have him in the second. Some have him in the third. Mock draft database says late second round pick. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes a little bit higher. Had a better 2021 than 2022. 9 sacks versus 6.5. But pretty good all-around player. He was a team captain for the Auburn Tigers in 2022. Those long arms are really going to help him as he tries to develop good block shedding skills. That's something that's going to be a big advantage when he's in the trenches engaging with offensive linemen, playing they say sometimes they call it patty cake with them. So definitely something you can't teach. He's very explosive off the snap. He's good enough setting the edge to stay on the field against the run. He's not somebody who has to come off the field on rundowns all the time. He sinks his hips really good, meaning he gets low and wins the leverage battle all day. He's really good at converting speed to power. He should improve in the coming years as an all-around player because he is somewhat young, and I believe there's a lot of untapped potential here. Like, you look at this length and you just go, this should be a guy who who can shed blocks really well. Should be able to use his hands really well. He also has some experience dropping into zones, which is a part of playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. So you have some reason to believe that he can handle those responsibilities. So a lot of stuff to like here. Like there's pass rush promise, there's run defense promise, there's explosion, there's leadership, there's length. Now, he doesn't have great bend. He's not one of those linebackers that can bend around the corner really well. He is going to have to add more to his pass rush set. Right now it's a little bit limited. He wins with speed more than anything. He's going to have to improve how he uses his hands. He's got those long arms, now he has to use them. And overall, you are going to need some patience with his development. I don't think he's going to come right out of the box and just be ready to go. So I like this combination of productivity and potential. I don't know if there's superstar potential here, but I do think he'll be able to play on all 3 downs, which is valuable. It's not going to be a Darrell Taylor situation like I sometimes say when talking about him. He's not going to be a guy who has to come off the field every time there's like a 2nd and 2 or a 3rd and 1. He's not somebody who's going to be out there on 1st and 10 and you're just crossing your fingers. I think he'll be an every down player. So mid to late 2nd round seems about right for him, I think. I maybe early 2nd would be okay, but I don't think you need to do it, and I just don't see the upper level upside here. He doesn't have the bend. He is going to have to develop in some areas to see what he can be, even a really good pass rusher. Is he just going to be an okay pass rusher? That's possible. So yeah, Derick Hall, nice player, should go somewhere in the middle of day 2, and I'm for it. So that's my look at the solidly day 2 draft prospects among the edge crop. So let me know what you guys think. Do any of these guys do it for you? Do you like these guys more than I do? Do you dislike any of them strongly? Is there someone else you would have thrown into this group maybe? But we're moving right along here. We got a lot of edges to go to. There will be another video later today where we take a look at some other day 2 options at the edge position. Hope to see you guys then. And go Hawks!